While since I've been out here. I've been slacking, I'll be honest. I spend a little bit too much time banging nails in, and I really should be coming out and meeting with everyone here. And luckily, I got some good friends who at our little meetup that we do. I said, hey, I got to get back out to the REIA. They said, hey, do it this month. And when I skipped that time, they instantly signed me up for House of the Month. So that was awesome. I got good friends. Here I am. So a little bit about me. I've been at this for about 4 years now. I have a W-2. I work overnight, so it allows me to kind of do my thing during the day. Sleep's kind of optional. I do the contractor thing during the day. I'm a realtor and an investor. Right now, I just have 2 self-managed duplexes, looking to expand on that. Really, my goal is just to be a buy and hold and replace my W-2 income, just like a lot of people are, I'm sure. I flip properties when I can because $125K down payments make me broke. And when I go broke, I have to do something, so that's when I start flipping properties. Strengths, I know a lot about construction. I got the realtor's license. My wife is an appraiser, which works out awesome. And I can reach ceilings, so I'm like the ultimate cutting guy for paint. All right. Weaknesses, I tend to over-improve properties. I lose all my receipts, and I don't track individual expenses well. When I get on a project, I just want to send it, and I'm not thinking about, itemizing things and keeping track of receipts as much as I should. So I got to really work on those things. So this property, it's kind of more about relationships than it was about the actual money, which sounds a little bit weird, but that's the truth for this one. So 258 Stonebridge Drive in Nashua. It was a typical townhome. 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, 1,200 square feet. The only thing that was weird about it was the garage was converted into it says bedroom, but no, it's not a bedroom. It's an office space or something like that. So it was converted, so it gave it a little bit extra square footage. Excellent location. It's close to everything on Amherst Street in Nashua, so it's awesome. The Home Depot is like 2 miles away, so score. Affordable price point for buyers. I mean, right now, working as a realtor, $500K starter homes suck. And, a lot of people just can't afford them, so I figured this is a good one just because of the price point. It was off market. Thank you, Tim, Joe Homebuyer. I got it off of him. Great deal. He's one of the few people that have never asked me, or wholesalers that have never asked me to join some mythical email group where all the deals in my dreams are going to come true. All right? He just posts what he has, and it's simple. All right? I love it. Just post what you have. I love it. So the bad about this property, and maybe some of you went and you looked at it and you got scared off by a couple of things. There were 2 big things that made this property really weird. One was a land lease. $441 a month. It was weird. It's based off of some algorithm that I had to figure out based on a bunch of things that were really confusing, and it was hard to really get an idea of where that price was and where it was going to continue to go and the buyout price. So it made it a little bit confusing. We did our homework, we figured it out. There's still an HOA on the property, so between the land lease and the HOA, that's a bit of explaining you have to do to a potential buyer. Also, another scary thing, the sellers needed to stay for 30 days. So obviously the last thing I want is a situation where we close and the sellers are still in the property. It's scary. So I kind of had to plan for an eviction and things like that if I needed it, but what I ended up doing was holding $5,000 back in escrow. I knew that they really needed the money. So the idea was that when they left, and left it somewhat cleaned out, that they'd get that $5,000 released to them. And ultimately that worked well. So the plan, purchase price was $150K. The reno was we planned roughly $20K again. I just walked through it real quick and we're just kind of doing the math in our heads. My reno buffer is huge because I'm terrible at budgets. So I always have a huge buffer, okay? And the reality is even when I do that, I'm usually about 7% off. I'm very consistent with that, going 7% over budget. I just pretty much expect it at this point. Now that said, my reno budget and everything, it may look a little bit low for the amount of work that I did, and that's because, quite frankly, I'm not counting my labor. So I do a lot of the work myself, probably about at least 50%, 60% of it. I typically work with one helper, and I'm doing this after my W-2, so it's me and my helper, and I'm doing it after work, on the weekends, things like that. So my labor's not in there, that's mostly just the price of the actual stuff. The only things that I contract out typically are my drywall work. I have a really good taper that I won't tell you who is, and I have a carpet guy that's really good, things like that. I'll sub that out, but everything else I pretty much do myself or have my helper do. So private money, that was a big thing, and when I say that this deal was a lot about relationships, that's literally why I picked this place, because private money. I've been funding a lot of stuff by myself, and every time that I do something by myself, I'm pulling the money out of a HELOC, and I'm literally decimating my credit cards. I'm pulling money out of like kids' college funds. I got guys at work who don't do this stuff, and they're like, man, I'm in a bad spot. I got $8K in credit card debt. I'm like, dude, hold my beer. All right, I got an Excel spreadsheet that tells me when I have to move the debt to avoid whatever interest and how I can float it at 0% down. I mean, like I'm telling you, I've had like 50, 60K, whatever. But the reality is that I knew in the end it would work, and it's always worked, and it's been okay. But it doesn't do any good for my hairline. The stress from having that much debt, and the fact that like my credit goes from an 820 to like 500, and I couldn't even like get into one of my own apartments at that point. Okay, I'm dead serious. Like I watched my credit go from an 820 to like a 515 once, just because of my debt to income. And I can tell you it takes about like 2 or 3 months once you pay it all back to recover from that. So my big game was getting a private money guy, all right? And I didn't want to just do a regular one. I wanted to develop a relationship. And what happened, real quick story with that, my guy, he worked for the place that I did, and he ended up, everyone laughed at him when he left 10 years ago, and all the money that he had, he spent on his first Planet Fitness. And everybody was like, haha, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. Well, he amassed like 65 of them, and he drove in to say hi in his G-Wagon one day, and it obviously worked, okay? And what I did, and this is why relationships are important, was I'm like, all right, he's made it, I wanna know what his story is. Obviously very successful. I figured out that he played golf. I sent the most expensive golf balls money could buy that were custom lettered and whatever, all that fancy stuff, with a note that said, hey, I just want to hear your story, let me buy you lunch. All right, he called me up, he agreed, we met, really fancy golf course that I didn't belong, where I drove in my 250,000 mile F-150, I parked with all the help, and I made my way inside, and we talked. And what really impressed me about him was he told his story, and he instantly turned it around to, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's actually trying to figure out if I can make him money. Like, what am I doing? And it's just amazing to me because he's the kind of guy that can't shut it off. His brain is just always thinking of the next thing. So long story short, I pitch him. He says, let's do something. So from that moment on, I'm like, all right. I found this deal, and this was the first one I was going to pitch to him, and all I wanted was something nice and easy, that I could prove the concept, because I knew that if this worked out, he could probably cut me a check later for something more. So anyway, we plan to do 3 to 5 months time frame on this, mostly because of the people staying there, all right? We looked at comps. It was a little bit dicey on comps. Some of them had a land lease, some of them didn't. We saw one comp for $240. It was a cash deal. It looked kind of like an outlier, so it made me a little bit nervous. So I went with a sales price target of $225. Super conservative. I knew it was, but I needed this to work. So that's just what I went with. I went very conservative. My all-in cost after we figured it all out was about $185K. That's what we were estimating. And my profit was looking like it would be about $35K. But again, it wasn't about the profit for me, it was about this relationship. and making sure that it worked out for him. Now, let me see. There's a little bit of a savings there too, just because I'm a realtor, so I can sell my own stuff. I save a little bit there too. All right, renovation time. So this was the house of DIY, okay? This person just tried to DIY everything themselves, and just to give you an example, this is where they tried to mount a flat screen TV. I mean, that's talent. Seriously.
Very sweet.
Quality work.
Now, to give you another example, like, it made demo easy, because the kitchen, they put up cabinets, and one of them was loose, so me being me, I pulled on it, and I watched the entire string of them come off, to include the microwave that fell and broke the top of the stove and fell onto the floor, and just like that, the cabinets were demoed. You know? And then I noticed that the countertop they put down, they didn't attach it, so you could just lift it off. It was just sitting there. So it was pretty neat. It was unique. They meant well, but no, construction's not for them. Some of the stuff, some of the things that killed my budget, just the floors were, like, some of the old tile is really hard to get off. It's the one time that I couldn't get tile off. It was a big pain. The floors were all cracked up. It was pretty crummy concrete, so I had to pour a lot of self-leveler. This is just some basic construction. There's my drywall guy, and again, he's protected. You can't have him. He's the man. All right. Just some basic reno pictures. Now, the part that everybody loves, the before and afters. So a lot of the problem with this house was it was just dark and dingy. There wasn't enough lighting. Everything was gross. There was just cigarette smoke stuff stuck on the walls. It was just tar and nasty. So we just brightened it up. If you look down the hallways, I put LED puck lights everywhere. They're seriously like $5 a piece on Amazon. They're so cheap, and they just make a huge difference. One of the big differences you'll notice that was something that I battled with was I did end up getting rid of the popcorn ceilings, which I just couldn't stand it. I just couldn't stand it, and I'm actually glad that I got rid of that. But that blew my budget up a little bit, just because of my taper. Had to spend a lot more time taping. And all we did to get rid of that was we just sanded it. I sanded it down, and I let him skim coat it. Kitchen, pretty standard stuff that a lot of us do. Subway tile, nothing too fancy. All those appliances are on sale. The cheap cabinets from my cabinet guy that are awesome and way better than Home Depot, off the shelf stuff for half the price. It's really good. Again, the puck lights, just trying to modernize everything. Nice flat ceilings. LVP plank flooring, pretty typical of what we all do. Nothing revolutionary there. The family room had carpeting. We had 3 different floorings, so we just got rid of it all. We did one LVP throughout. That was like a Home Depot special. I think I paid $1.26 square foot for that LVP. And it was actually the MSI who makes LifeProof, so it's really good stuff. The bathroom, pretty typical, all Amazon fixtures, Amazon faucet. Looks fancy, pretty awesome, happy with it. Upstairs bathroom, we reglazed the tub. It had 2 holes in it, and I've never done the reglazing thing before. Usually I will rip it out and do tile and do fancier, but me trying not to over improve this time, I said, nope, we're gonna reglaze it. The guy who did it was able to patch the holes. It came out awesome, looked really good. I'm happy I went that way. Just did tile on the floor, nothing else particularly special in there. The bedrooms, just cleaned them up, new carpet, new paint everywhere, new trim. Same thing, this is the master bedroom, new carpet, just brightened it up. The light fixtures, these rooms didn't originally have lights in the ceilings, they just had the outlets on the switch. So I added the big puck style lights on the ceiling. Again, Amazon special, $20 a piece. Can't beat it, just really modernized everything. This is the converted garage. It was a little just dark, dingy at first. Again, with that lighting, we brightened it up. I got rid of the ceiling fan because I hate ceiling fans when they're low ceilings. So it just makes it look cleaner. So renovations were complete. What's next? And again, my first presentation I moved up a lot in the world. My first one, my very first flip situation, we were living in it. We were basically squatting in the house. We had no running water. I was literally getting buckets of water from a stream to flush our toilet. Like, that's what we were doing. You gotta do what you gotta do to make it work, and that's what we were doing. That worked out great for me. I don't regret it. It was an awesome experience, but this one was not like that. It was awesome. We're finally starting to see the gravy here. Finally some good before we get destroyed by the other presentation that's gonna happen. All right, so what did we do? We went on a cruise and we're all done, all right? All paid for by credit card points that I used during the renovation. Now, keep in mind, my lender put up a majority of all my expenses for my renovation budget. So I put everything on the card, and then I used the money from him to pay the card, and I just got the points. So literally paid for the cruise with my points from doing the reno. I had a buddy do the open house for me while I was on the cruise. It was awesome. We answered all the emails and calls on board, no problems. We received multiple offers while we were on board. Again, epic. Like, this has always been a dream of mine. Again, this is inspired by landlords. We were within our projected time frame. So we listed it April 19th, and we closed May 5th. All right. If it sounds fast, it's because it was. We received 6 offers within 5 days while we were on the cruise, all above ask. The one that really hit us, that made my day, and just it'll be hard to beat, is on the second day of the cruise, we received an offer for $280K. It had an escalation clause on it, up to $280K. No inspection, no appraisal, all cash, 10-day close. So I'm sitting with that in my back pocket, and I have these realtors calling me, telling me, oh, it's not worth this, it's not worth this. So I'm just smiling the whole time because I know I have this in my back pocket. And I already put out, like, I'm gonna review all offers, in 5 days and whatever. So I knew I was in the green, and I was gonna win. It just, I didn't know how much. So at the end of the day, I did go 4K over my budget. Dumpsters got me because I ended up letting them leave some of their furniture there because I just wanted them out and I was just getting nervous. So dumpsters got me, the floor issue got me, the drywall work, and I grossly underestimated the cost of doors. The last time I put all those interior doors in, it was like $100, and now it's like $165. And they're all junk, and I had to rebuild them, and it just took a lot more time and work. It's just sometimes it's the dumb things that really kill your budget. My money costs also. Our original estimate on our money costs, we ended up paying a lot more for the money, and I'll tell you the reason why I did that was basically it was optional. When I first presented the numbers for the money to my guy, he's like, yep, Mike, I'll do it for you, no problem. There wasn't a lot of enthusiasm there, and I said, hey, is this not worth doing to you? Because I want it to be worth it. And he's like, I'll be honest, it's okay. It's not great, but he's like, you're my guy, I appreciate that you reached out, and I respect what you're doing, so I don't mind helping you out. I'm like, I don't want it to be help. I'm like, what would make you go, oh my God, that was ridiculous? He gave me a number, I knew the numbers in my head, and I just didn't care, so I said, sure. You know what, let's do it. If this number is gonna make this deal awesome for you, I want it to be a win for everybody. And so I agreed, and I ended up paying like double for what my money was. But I just didn't care because I knew it was gonna work, and again, I'm just trying to build that relationship. I try to create wins for everybody. So, the final numbers, all right? Originally, I thought 185 all in. I estimated 35K profit. In actuality, we were all in for 196, and my profit at the end of the day was $79,885. That was more than I could have ever imagined. I did not think that was going to happen, and it gave me an awesome opportunity to not only hook up my money guy, but my crew, and my crew got fancy tools. And I sent letters thanking their wives for all the nights that I kept them with a considerable cash bonus in them, because I know how to get stuff done. And when it comes down to the late hours, I know who's in control. All right, so I made sure that the wives were happy. All right. And that's really it for that. My quick tips, honestly, that drywall sander, is the best thing in the world if you're like me and you do too much of the construction yourself, and you have all these walls that just look like junk because the tenants or whoever has painted them 1,000 times, there's runs everywhere, there's old patches, they just look like junk, okay? So not only for its intended purposes or knocking down, popcorn ceilings, but also for if you hit your walls real quick with that, when they're painted with 100 grit, it just knocks off all that bad junk that's on the walls. All the old drips, it just takes right off, it flattens everything perfectly. When you go with your next coat of paint, it sticks real nice and it looks like you have new walls. I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world. It's awesome. Home Depot commercial accounts. I didn't know about this thing until Helen at the Londonderry Home Depot. I will preach that. She's wonderful. She's at the pro desk. If you're a contractor, there's no way you don't know her. All right? She hooked me up. She basically made me. She bent my arm. She made me get this commercial account. She's like, Mike, it's going to save you money. It's going to save you money, save you money. Well, she's right. And with the amount of money that I spend every year, I save roughly $6,000 a year in materials cost. Just with the way that they do their reward program and they discount things that I purchase frequently, like I'll make, whatever, primer 30% off eventually. So it really does, it's automatic, it really does help you out. And then they also give you, for each amount of money you spend, if you use the card, they give you like gift cards. And right now, for my next one, I get like a $150 gift card, right? And it's wonderful because I get the gift card, my wife doesn't know about it, and I instantly buy tools with it, all right? So it's like a little private fund that I have that nobody knows about. And if you're smart, you buy the same color tools, you throw all the boxes away at Home Depot, and you get them dirty, and they don't know, all right? So you're safe. All right, so I'm telling you, check it out, tell Helen that I sent you, it'll save you a lot of money, it's totally worth it. That's all I got. Does anybody have any